bad guy is back. He never cheats, he never lies, he never cuts any corners.
I've always been a massive fan of Conor Benn. It's not been a secret. Conor Benn, I think he was one of the most fast rising talents in our country. There's nothing I'm more comfortable with than being in a gym or fighting. Once that bell goes, I'm at home. I'm calm. I know what's gonna happen. I know what to do. Me fighting guys in the ring and sparring is like you reading a book. I just know what to do. But that's what you have to do. You have to go through the fire to prepare yourself for war. Chris Eubank is so good at playing the villain, even though he's not the villain. Why do people class him as a villain, but people look at him like that? Don't mistake this. Don't mistake Chris Eubank Jr.'s attitude, his demeanour. The kid knows what he's doing, and that's what he's working on.
It's personal between me and that guy. I don't like him.
Fucking render him unconscious, I will.
It really is bad blood.
You are going to get absolutely dismantled and destroyed.
Dead boy walking there.
Now we have a real beef. Now I really want to get this guy.
That game will always dominate with that boom.
The anticipation is fading away as the rematch between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. is just around the corner. However, Conor Benn has been pushing his limits in training, focusing on a brutal core routine designed to build explosive power and endurance for his rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. From weighted sit-ups and medicine ball slams to resistance band twists and tire flips, Benn's sessions are all about raw intensity and grit. Moreover, Frank Smith believes Conor Benn will enter the rematch against Chris Eubank Jr. with a calmer and more composed mindset. He pointed out that Benn has matured through experience and now handles big fight pressure with greater ease. Smith also acknowledged that Eubank will come in better prepared, but questioned how much the last fight took out of him physically and mentally.
But I think going into this fight, Conor, like you say, much more calm, relaxed. He's been here, he's done it. He's been in in that environment now. But at the same time, Chris is going to come better. You've seen it, you know, again, on his camp. You've seen the posts he's been putting up. So you're going to see a better version of both of them. It's like, but how much did the last fight take out of Chris? How much did the last fight? Conor's much younger than Chris. You know, you can play it every which way. But I think that the fact that Conor is now much more composed is going to be much better for him in the fight.
Eddie Hearn said that Conor Benn looks physically stronger and more complete now that he's settled at 160 pounds. He noticed Benn's thicker frame, bigger legs, and stronger core, calling him one of the hardest workers in boxing with an incredible work ethic and growing maturity. Hearn admitted he has always believed Benn could beat Chris Eubank Jr., but after seeing him train, he felt even more confident.
Like up now at 160, he just looks thicker. You know, he's got, you know, his waist looks bigger, his legs look bigger, his trunk looks bigger. And I was just really impressed with, I mean, I've got to say, not met many people in boxing that work as hard as Conor Benn. Phenomenal athlete, incredible work ethic, but just a smartness about his work and a maturity about his work. And I've always felt that he can beat Eubank, but I left that gym feeling really, really confident that he beats Eubank. And listen, Eubank was surprised in that first fight. There was no doubt about it. He got the shock of his life. And he will be working very hard with Bomac and the team. And I expect a better Chris Eubank. But Conor was poor last time. He knows that. Tony knows that. Like he can be so much better than that. And I really believe he's going to get this performance right. I really believe he's going to win the fight.
Jamie Moore said that the key factors going into the rematch are Chris Eubank Jr.'s age, the wear and tear from years in the sport, and the struggle of making weight again. He explained that when a fighter has gone to the well too many times, there eventually comes a point where there's nothing left to draw from. Moore felt that in their last fight, Eubank was running on empty toward the end, while Conor Benn was just starting to find his rhythm.
The big points for me, Eubank's age, miles on the clock, making weight. There's a lot of questions there in the context of, but I'm talking from experience here now. When you get to that stage of your career, I actually never got to that stage in terms of that level where Eubank's been, but I mean like miles on the clock. When you go to the well, and you go to the well, there's a point where you go, fuck, there's no water here, and at some point Eubank's going to get there. And I feel like towards the end of that fight last time, he was running on empty. And in all honesty, Conor Benn really started to go through the gears at the end. And fair play, Eubank clung on and he did enough and he won the fight fair and square. But at some point, where's he going to go? I'm going to the well, and the making weight and the rehydration clause and the relentlessness of Ben, will that get into play? Because he might get to round 4 and 5 and it starts getting tough and he goes, what the fuck am I doing here again under these circumstances? And also you got to take into account Conor, he's younger, he's got more growth in terms of learning lessons, so he's probably improved from the first fight. So then you've got to be thinking, if he has improved, that's probably enough. If you sort of get the balance right of Conor's improved from the first fight and learnt the lessons, and as it took a lot out of Eubank, then for me it brings it back to level playing field again. So it remains to be seen, but it's a hell of a fight.
Tim Bradley thinks Conor Benn has the punching power to stop Chris Eubank Jr. in their rematch, but insists he needs to refine his strategy. Bradley suggested that Benn should use lateral movement rather than stepping straight back, remain calm under pressure, and focus on landing sharp, direct shots down the middle to manage the fight more effectively.
Conor Benn can knock him out. Conor Benn can knock him out in the rematch. Oh, yeah. Couple things he got to do, though. You know, boxing one-on-one, man, when you're fighting a taller guy, you never want to step back in straight lines. You want to exit the sides. He stepped back in straight lines. He allowed Eubank to extend with those long arms, so he's getting caught on the end of his shots a lot of the times. Another thing, early on, got too reckless. You got to be more reserved, my man. Act like you've been there before. You got to control those emotions. All right, a lot of swinging, a lot of wild swinging, a lot of energy wasted early that you could have had on the back end and you could have finished stronger, but you didn't. You wasted a lot of energy swinging that air. Mad, intense. Hey, controlled aggression. That's what it got to be, Conor Benn. Controlled. Another thing. Straight punches. Straighten your shots out, man. You had a lot of success when you was letting those punches just fly right from the chin. 1, 2, right down the middle. Yeah, you was landing that right hand. See, there's a big mistake that a taller guy makes, like Eubank Jr. And what he does is he throws a jab from mid-range. That's a big no-no. You can't be doing that. He throws a jab from mid-range. Even when he got the range and the height and the reach, he's still stepping in, closing the gap. And that's the perfect opportunity for Conor Benn to load up with a big right hand. He did it occasionally. He caught him with it. Yes, you know, he caught him with it. However, a lot of wide shots over the top.
Tony Bellew described their first encounter as one of the most exciting battles he's ever witnessed and said he's looking forward to seeing how both fighters evolve this time. He believes each of them has the ability to shock the other by making clever tactical adjustments in the rematch.
The first fight's one of the best fights I've ever seen. You've got to look at, just watch the action from the first round to the last. I mean, that 12th round is just epic. 100% want to see it again. It's just...
Who wins it?
Oh, I don't know. I think you need to look at the really intricate details going into the fight.
Chris Eubank the favourite, Junior?
He has to be after winning the first fight, but I'll tell you something. The tide moves slightly over to Conor Benn a bit more because Chris Eubank will be the one who needs more time to recover than Conor Benn, because the younger man, the younger body, the fresher body recovers faster than the older body. But at the same time, the bigger man, the stronger man will always come better late, and there's no getting away from them last 3 rounds. He came really strong.